Hi, everybody. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are, whichever time zone. So beautiful to have you, Madhuri. So it's been a
Thank you.
long time, discussion that we've been planning. So
Yeah.
it's been my long-term thought process to have a learning through discussion where when you actually talk out and discuss on topics, it shows how richer learning can be when you
Absolutely.
actually talk out your mind and discuss.
Mhm.
So that way, thank you so much for bringing in this very I think it's an intriguing topic on learning through vulnerability, and that's one reason where I was like, okay, I need to do this with Madhuri. So thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you for
Just
having me.
my pleasure. So before we just start, a childhood memory of yours that has shaped you to who you are today.
That's a super question to start with. Honestly, it's been 18 years that I'm doing what I'm doing in the space of mental health, suicide prevention. While I don't do therapy, I do a lot of training because I truly believe that when you enable people, they can enable the rest. I may not touch 20, 30,000 lives, and that may never be enough. So I think ever since I was in school, I realized having somebody who listens to you, holding space with no judgments, really makes such a sea difference. I remember in my 10th grade, I had a history teacher, Mr. Sunil Sharma, and he was in charge of our annual function. And he told me, Madhuri, you got to go up on the stage and sing. And I broke down in tears because I didn't have anybody around me whoever thought that I may have the voice to stand up on stage singing solo, and he pushed me and he helped me and he supported me, we practiced, etc. So I think some of these and more as you grow up, show that support, that presence of somebody who is there to hold space and listen makes you who you are today. And that could be anybody, a parent, it could be a friend, it could be a cousin, it could be a sibling, it could be a work colleague, it could be a very supportive manager. And I still have such fond memories of my first job 18 years ago. I'm still in touch with everybody because I think they were the one who taught me the nuances, and that got me here today.
So what was that role actually?
Um, when you finish your master's in psychology, everybody assumes it's going to be therapy, right? And I was clear that's not what I want to do based on my internship, my experiences. And so my first job was ILNFS ETS, Education and Technology Services, and my managers were Rupa Dalal, Padma, Aishwarya Baride, Feroza was a colleague, Sukena was a very senior member, and I had no idea about what trainings look like. How do you address 20, 30, 40 people, teachers in a room, until they put me in front of a class with 30 teachers and senior teachers with principals. And they said, you're going to open the program. And I can still feel the butterflies in my stomach. I cannot explain to you. I felt so exposed. I felt it in my throat, in my stomach, and I didn't know how. My voice changed. But it was the first 10 minutes, and I had all these people at the end of the room looking at me, giving me cue words, telling me, so you were mentioning this? What are your thoughts on that? And they helped me kind of connect the dots, bring up what's next, etc., making it so memorable that now I know the nuances of engaging not just 20, 30, probably even 150 learners in the room.
That's interesting. So, I mean,
It was hard.
I think it's
It was hard.
more than the result. The process of learning actually, makes you or shapes you much better.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that is so true. I'm currently watching a series on Netflix, and this is a side, a non-serious conversation, Survival of the Thickest on Netflix. And there is this character called Mavis Beaumont, who is a stylist, and we're in the age of influencers, stylists who work with these designers, etc. And one of the episodes, she actually says, shame dies when stories are told in safe spaces. And I love that so much that you're able to shed yourself completely to a group of people, to a person who then becomes that safe space for you where you know you're not going to be judged.
Uh, it's very difficult in modern times to, consider someone a safe space for yourself.
Mm, yeah. I wouldn't say it's hard really. I would say we want to be sure. And so it's always a trial and error. You always learn from those experiences, and that's what vulnerability is. Brené Brown spent over 18 years researching vulnerability in corporate spaces. And she actually says that vulnerability is a direct, most powerful measurement of um, courage.
Huh,
And she says whether you're a teacher, whether you're a leader, managing a team of X number of people, the moment you're vulnerable, tell yourself that's a measurement of the courage. I am saying I don't know, and that's okay. But we are expecting everybody should know and everybody must have.
that is like
Yeah,
the common human nature.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So another, as we move from your childhood,
Hmm.
what's your instant mojo? A quick burst of energy, confidence, or spark that helps you immediately feel motivated or creative or, ready to perform at your best. Before you start this question, so you need to tell me how you get it and how you keep it. And in case you lose it, then how do you get it back?
Oh man. So as a person, as a personality, you know how you go through these assessments and so my typical personality is somebody who um, takes things with a pinch of salt, makes humor, makes light of situations without undermining the crux or the message, right? But well, we are all humans and kabhi ho jata hai jahan, you lose out on your emotions, you feel vulnerable. Like I said, you feel exposed. So, for me, what works is human connection. And I realize that that's what I have innate in me. Um, I've had umpteen number of stories where I know at the end of any program, I'll have at least five people come to me and say, MD, what are your thoughts on this? Or MD, in my family, this is what I'm going through. Or, so I feel when you connect with a person, there is a sense of safety. And it's not because I'm a complete stranger. It's because of your overall personality, the way you lead with questions, the way you listen into people, the way you hold space.
The mutual connection you have one on one with
Yeah,
a person, right?
exactly. Exactly. And there's no other reason why somebody would open up and say, माधुरी मेरे टीम में ना कोई मेरी सुनता नहीं है. मेरा 32 साल का एक्सपीरियंस है. मैं मैनेजर हूँ, मैं लीडर हूँ, मैं एक्स कंपनी में सीईओ रहा हूँ. बट यहाँ पे मुझे नहीं समझ में आ रहा है व्हाई इज इट सो हार्ड. क्यों लोग मुझे सीरियसली नहीं ले रहे, क्यों मुझे हर बार प्रूफ करना पड़ता है अपने आप को. There's no reason why somebody will open up so much to me till the time they don't feel safe, until the time they don't feel like they will be listened to and they will be guided in the best possible way without me sounding like an 80-year-old.
Got it. All right. So that's nice. So you have to answer my
Next part of
why.
the question.
Yeah, yeah. This is one of the questions. So
Yeah.
the other two more are pending.
So I think what I do to keep it is just be curious. I love people, and that's why I love what I do. Whether I'm in virtual programs or face-to-face programs, 18 years of my career, I'm still in touch with all my clients. And it's not because of work, it's because of so many other things you share along the way. So I stay curious. I ask a lot of questions. I think hold space. I don't react. I believe I would like to respond to people and situations.
Okay.
Um, so what do I do to keep that up? I do exactly this. I reconnect with
So in
myself
case
and I
you lose it,
recalibrate.
then how do you get it
Exactly.
back?
Yeah, because there are times when you end up losing it, right? I remember I was delivering a program at this location called Beed. Beed is a small village in Pune, and I never knew that there were two beads. on planet Earth. And I took the bus, and it was my first outbound work. And I went to Bid, and I'm calling the person. They said, "आप यहाँ नहीं हो." I said, "अरे, आपने बोला ये एड्रेस मैं भीड़ में हूँ, आप लेने आ रहे थे वगैरह." Eventually, I got to know that I have to go to another bead, which is another bus ride away, 4 hours.
Yeah,
I
India.
have
I mean,
cried
not only India. I think the world has a huge space to explore. So
and I cried so much because I panicked. I panicked because I had to reach the training on time. If I didn't make it on time, my managers would yell at me. The participants would be waiting for me. These participants are teachers in school. I'm failing and I'm signing up to failing. Why didn't I do the research about it before? Why didn't anybody tell me about this before? Why didn't I ask? There was a flurry of questions. And all I did was I took a deep breath and I said, listen, you are here now. There's very little you can do to change that. So I spoke to three other people and I said, well, मुझे यहाँ जाना है और मैं यहाँ आ गई, क्या करना है? Luckily, the bus driver and the conductor were very understanding because I think this could be a very common mistake. And they said, आप ये बस ले लो और आप यहाँ जा सकते हो. I said,
ah,
ठीक है. And then I called my manager and I was sobbing. And my manager said, it's okay. Things happen. It's your first time. And that's why I felt so supported that
mm,
just that it's okay. It happens to most people and that's fine. You take a day, just did the trick for me. So I think just pausing in that moment and feeling more centered is what helps me bring the mojo back as much as I can try.
very nice.
Thank
So
you.
outside your, professional role, what
Hmm.
brings you peace and helps you reconnect with yourself?
I think music and dancing. Music and dancing. People who know me, all of these people you see on the screen today know me really well. And they would agree, music and dancing are absolutely they're my things. I love it. Of course, there's travel, there's nature, but put me in a room, music and dance works for me.
Oh wow! So can I have the people are over here to come on camera and you know ask her about the music and dance interests? Okay, so it'll be really good if they can come over and have a conversation. Otherwise, I have my entire time with you. Huh? I have enough questions to
Perfect.
out
I
here.
think we should let them be. Like I said, one of them is in Bali at the moment. Timings are crazy. The other one is also traveling elsewhere, so that's also another story altogether. So, but yeah, music and dance it is for me, hands
Beautiful.
down.
So, do you believe vulnerability is something we are born with to start off, and or
Absolutely.
is it something we learn to embrace over time?
So we'll answer this. We'll get the answers from our audience, but let's take the example of a baby. Right, the child is born. What's the first thing that you hear from a child? A baby is born,
The sound of the child when it is
crying.
just out, yeah,
Yeah,
crying.
and that's important because only when the child cries will the lungs expand. Okay, and that's a proof that lungs are intact, right? A child knows nothing else besides crying as a language. And fortunately, unfortunately, there are no parenting manuals or standard operating procedures that tell us what to do to support a crying baby. But
Okay.
yet we learn along the way, right? We figure out that is this a potty cry? Is this a hunger cry? Is this a food cry? What cry does that look like, right? And they don't apologize, babies. They love it. They know exactly where to go. But over time, I think as adults, when you grow up, we are so scared of, like I said, feeling exposed. We are so scared of the risks. We are so scared of being judged.
Yeah,
We are
the world is anyway going to judge you.
Exactly. See, that's another one, right? And so into adulthood, we realize, bhai, ye humse na ho paega, no vulnerability. Let's be strong. That's a better option. Let people see the other side of me, and that's safer. Vulnerability is innate. It's natural. We're born with it. It's there along the way. First job, second job, first interview, third interview. as a CEO, interview as a founder of the organization, standing in front of that VC for funding. All of this makes you feel vulnerable. And that's it. It's what happens in that moment that helps you respond rather than react.
Ah, okay. So how, uh, how you are being set on, or how you make up your mind
Yeah,
actually gives you a solution to
yeah,
vulnerability.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
Because let's understand this,
the training, so the training of your mind gives you a solution to vulnerability.
Yeah, in a way, you can say that because Aparajita, let's take a simple example. Let's say you and I were playing in the garden. Let's go back, we are 5 years old. We go to the same garden every evening to play. Something happened and I fell down the slide. And there were these couple of people taking a walk in the building. What do you think they would tell me if I was a boy?
So if you are, at the present community, okay, whatever I know. So if you
Hmm.
are a boy, then the question on your braveness is being put up.
Correct.
If you are a girl, then your safety is being questioned.
Right? So if you look at a boy, for example, and that's our example here, scenario, okay, where the boy says, you tell the child, grow up, you got to be strong, you're a big boy, stop crying. Look at her. Is she crying? What are you conveying to the child? That your emotions, your tears have no value. You're expected to be strong no matter what. I guarantee you today that person will have the hardest time dealing with anything to do with vulnerability. If they've lost their job, they'll come home. They prefer to have a couple of drinks than to talk about how terrible they feel because they've lost a job or they were fired. So
Hmm.
it's our conditioning
Do
when we
we
grow up, and
mistake vulnerability for weakness?
that's true. Most people, we see it as weakness, but it isn't. It's the biggest proof of strength and courage. And this is research. It's not me saying.
So then, how do we support someone who's struggling emotionally without trying to fix it?
I think there are a couple of things that can help. One is understanding that human beings come with a whole lot of baggage, lots of emotions, and sometimes we can barely label those, right? When you know that somebody's trying to be vulnerable, we don't necessarily need to have all the answers. We don't necessarily need to say anything. We don't have to say, अरे ठीक है छोड़ना है यार तुझे अकेले के साथ थोड़ी ऐसा होता है सबके साथ हो रहा है right? Just holding space and say, well, I hear you. I may not understand what you're going through or what this loss means for you, but I would like to understand. So let's talk about what that feels like for you. That's the best way to just listen without judgment, to hold space. We don't need advice. We don't need, let's go get a drink. Let's go for a quick smoke break. That's not required. Just holding space, listening in is the best way to support a person through the crisis because they
Beautiful.
are in it.
Beautiful. So, how many people fear being judged? Like how you're saying, how do we? Two examples of how we can create a safe space where vulnerability feels safe
Mhm.
and accepted.
Yeah. So I think first thing, there are two sides to the coin, right? One is I'm the same person. So I am feeling vulnerable versus I am being exposed or the vulnerable side is being seen by somebody else. Let's start with my work first, right? I am feeling vulnerable. We usually talk about the courage method here, right? COURAGE, which is an acronym that I've designed thinking it's so helpful. Where C stands for check in with your emotion. How are you feeling today? Right? I feel shit. I feel ridiculed. I feel mocked. I feel judged. I feel upset. I feel sad. Okay. Observe your thoughts. What are your thoughts telling you? You're good for nothing. You deserve it. This had to happen. You knew your performance was below par. What are your thoughts? Step number three, you. Understand, what do you need in that moment? Do I need these thoughts in that moment? I'm anyways feeling like crap. What do I need? I need to step out for a bit, catch a breath, get fresh air. Okay, do that. And as you're doing that, R, reach out to that safe person. This is what happened. I'm just sharing with you. I don't need advice. I don't need judgment. I just need to talk to you about it. And then role reversal. What would the
Okay.
person do? Is there evidence in what your thoughts are telling you? Are you really good for nothing? And then your brain tells you the exact opposite side. Actually, no, this was one episode. You are a person who is 12, 13, 18, 20, 40, 70-year old. You've come a long way in life. This one episode doesn't define your entire trajectory, doesn't define your entire journey. So give yourself a break, cut yourself some slack, and pick up your learnings along the way. And this helps you show up for yourself when you go back in.
Wonderful. Very, very thoughtful. So, how do childhood experiences shape our ability, our inability to express vulnerability as adults?
Uh, let's go back to the example of the slide
Right.
where you tell the person you're good for nothing, be strong, what's wrong with you, don't cry, etc. Most people go back with it thinking this is finale, stamp, मुझे हमेशा strong रहना है. Most people, right? The beauty is that that can change because the past doesn't define you, right? The past only shows you an example. It's only kind of giving you a hint. If it's not working for you, think of what you can do besides that. And that requires help of a safe person, somebody who can you are allowed to, given the permission to stay safe and vulnerable. So childhood does safety in childhood. That's why there are so many parenting coaches today, because there are no manuals for parenting, right? How do you change that?
You learn by experience.
Exactly.
One thing that I have experienced is I think children teach patience,
Yeah.
like very important, and
Yeah.
we actually need it at every level and at every instance.
Yeah.
That is something that you learn only by experience.
Absolutely.
So, how can vulnerability transform our relationships with family, friends, or colleagues?
So let's think of a team. Parijata, you are my manager. I report into you, and I have been vulnerable to you with my appraisal. And you tell me, MD, I really thought,
That also has vulnerability. It is not a defined term, so it could
correct.
take its space in accordance to whatever situations you are.
Absolutely. So going by the adult to adult example, or let's say a student going to the teacher, um, when you are able to share that with a person, when are you able to do it? Only when you feel that there's a sense of connection you feel and safety you feel with a person. And so being vulnerable has proven to increase connection between people, deepen relationships, right? Even if there are arguments or fights, you see the side of the person where you know that the person doesn't mean harm. Teams become more collaborative. Um, Parents are able to connect better with children. Marriages and relationships seem to improve in a long term when you're allowed to be vulnerable in front of a person. So, overall, when you look at vulnerability transforming relationships, we are not seeking perfection then. We are seeking honesty. We are seeking connection, safety, support.
Got no the cohesive words or the safety words that we
Yeah.
always do.
Hmm.
So, in your counseling practice, what are some common emotional barriers that prevent people from being authentic or being their self?
I don't do much counseling, but I do a lot of coaching conversations with leadership as well as first-time managers, new managers, seemingly jumped, given a bigger role, and I kind of do a lot of coaching conversations there. Um, and I see that a lot of people feel resistance to being vulnerable. But in my coaching conversation, that almost always comes up because they know that I have nothing to do with their role and I have no impact in their job role. Like I can't fire them or, I can't do much, right? All I can do is hold space and be more curious and say, why do you think that's a barrier? Where do you want to go from here? How does it help? So, coaching conversations in organizations are so powerful to show you the mirror and to help you realize that vulnerability is not all that bad. It's a seed for learning.
Yes, got it. So, what role does self-compassion play in healing emotional wounds?
Dr. Christine Neff has done a lot of work in the space of self-compassion, and I think it's the hardest thing to have. We can have compassion for the other because you see the other struggle. But when you struggle, you seem to mask it, saying, hey, what's the big deal? The world does it. उसमें क्या है? बड़ी बात कुछ नहीं है, right? But self-compassion is treating yourself the way you treat somebody else you love. And that isn't self-pity. It's an opportunity to start healing, holding space for yourself.
Oh,
It isn't self-pity.
you love a lot of people, right? Like, you might have, I mean, you can define love in various relationships, like
Yeah.
for a family member,
Mm-hmm.
or a student, for a child.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So then, where will you distinguish, or which role of love would you suggest for self compassion?
Um, I think love is all encompassing, right? And I'm not being very shyly driven here. Well, I am a romantic person, absolutely. I love mushy movies and all moments. But I think we assume that love is when you always do things for somebody else. A child may go to the mother and say, I want a chocolate every single day. Would a mother give the chocolate every single day?
Uh, she might, but I don't think it will be a long term, because considering it,
Exactly.
everything, too much of everything is
Exactly. And where is that coming from? Because you love your child, because you know that there could be cavity, because you know it's bad for the body, because you know its sugar is not healthy. As a mother, that's love. Your child may see it as mama doesn't love me, she never gives me junk food. But as a mother, you know this is also love. So love is not always saying yes to things. Sometimes saying no with a longer, deeper, larger vision is also love, in my opinion.
beautiful. So how can how does embracing vulnerability strengthen
Hmm.
emotional resilience instead of putting it down or diminishing it?
I think when you talk about vulnerability and resilience, I would almost see it as like imagine a scale or a ruler, right? It's on a continuum, right? Being vulnerable is saying, I don't know and I can't do it. Being resilient is extending that and say, well, it's okay if I don't know it and if I can't do it, but what can I do to learn it? Where can I find it? So vulnerability is saying, let's ask for help, let's learn from setbacks. Resilience is saying, well, if there are setbacks, I trust you, you will get over it. So both of these are not like a Venn diagram, they are connected. It brings in a sync for a person and their overall performance in every domain of their life. A leader to manage the team, a relationship of a couple, any relationship, this works together.
Okay, that sounds, or like that sounds something that you can deep dive and think about. But in today's social driven,
Hmm.
where perfection is often celebrated.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
we encourage
yeah.
vulnerability.
I think there is very little we can do. We are all a part of social media, whether you are a baby bloomer, they would have their accounts on Instagram and Facebook. Whether you're a millennial today, there are a couple of more generations in between that come in, or you are a Gen Z who makes a living out of being on social media, right? The idea is that if you look at any of these platforms, LinkedIn always tells you the success. You're successful, you're doing well, you got it, you achieved it, look at you. Instagram tells you, oh, what a perfect life you have. Look at you. Wow. Look at the travel. Look at that body. Look at the. What we don't understand is what goes behind making it that way on screen. So while we are in the world of social media, helping people understand that being authentic, being real, being connected doesn't depend on how much likes and hearts and overshares you have, but it tells people your footprints on planet Earth. Where are you going with that information? What are you telling the world with that information? Because it can't go down, it stays. You rather show the authentic side than the made up side.
So you mean to say it has to have a balance. Like,
Yeah,
see, one thing is depends on each person's interest on what they
hmm,
actually targeting or what is. See, if I am putting up the picture of an elephant, I might want to say talk about the way the elephant has been drawn.
yeah,
You might look at why is the elephant being put up when when the world is talking about the football.
yeah,
There are so many different thought processes that actually go about in the web.
yeah,
When
yeah,
considering we have a wide varied audience, as you said, the baby bloomers till the millennials.
yeah.
So in that, what misconceptions about emotional expressions, mental health, or thought process would you like to challenge?
Um, I think and when I say we, I mean all of us working in any setup, in schools, in police, in the military, in the medical field, in any area that we work in, we always assume that somebody who's struggling with mental health is doing so for seeking attention. Today, the reality is that kids as young as 5 and 6 are diagnosed with a lot of learning difficulties, ADHD. And a contrast also, adults are being diagnosed with adult ADHD, which didn't happen when they were children, when they went to school, right? The only thing that COVID did, and the best thing that COVID did, was to bring out the understanding around mental health. Because the World Health Organization says underlying any pandemic is a mental health pandemic. Unfortunately, it's never seen. So when we talk about myths around mental health, the biggest one is it's attention seeking. Well, okay, if the person is seeking attention, give it. Just by labeling somebody attention seeking, it actually takes the power off you. You feel better because you feel like मेरे को क्या करना है? How does it matter to me? Right? Well, nobody's expected to be an expert in mental health, but holding space and listening, I think we all can do without advice, challenge.
Okay. So terming someone as seeking attention
Yeah,
is, for your own self satisfaction, which is
yeah,
the reality.
yeah.
So, can vulnerability coexist with confidence?
Absolutely. There are some situations where I remember when I learned driving, I, I've been driving, I started driving at the age of 18 when I got my license. I'm
Oh,
42 today. Uh, First day of my driving school, they had like a simulator. So you were to sit in a car and the gear, the brake, accelerator, clutch, the wiper, headlight. And the teacher said, "Chalo, aaj chalte raste pe." And I felt my heart move, beat very fast because my first thing was, what if my car stops in the middle of the road? People will start honking behind. What if they look at me and abuse me and say, "Kya kar rahi hai? Chal na side mein hua hai." Even before that became a reality, my mind did all of this. Why? To protect me, to keep me safe. I had two choices in that moment. Either to sit down and never get a license and say, "Oh, people were." Or I'll say, "Well, okay, if people's car shut down, you're learning there's an L behind you. It's okay, just smile and move on." And my friend taught this to me. She said, "You have your license, you have the driver's license. Why don't you do one thing? Just take a U turn, a small round, and come back." And I said, "Actually, that's not such a bad idea." I went for a drive for an hour alone, listening to my favorite music, and I haven't stopped since.
Okay.
So, vulnerability isn't a consistent, constant place where people are stuck. It evolves, it moves, provided you have a perspective where you want to pick up the nuggets along the way, the learnings along the way, and you move forward.
But every listener, how do you know when it's time to seek professional help rather than trying to navigate your emotional challenges yourself?
Um, I think the question is so important because we're talking about professional help here, right? I
Right.
think there shouldn't be a time to when you want to go, right? Um,
Um,
let's take any
any
aches and pains, for
experience, for
example.
example.
You have a
Yeah.
stomach ache, day one, you'll be like, "Ho jayega." Day two, day three, ho jayega. Day four, you are like, "Listen, I better go to the doctor because I don't think this seems to improve. Sab ghar pe tha, wo sab try kar diya, it's not helping." You will go see a doctor, right? Whenever you know that your actions, your behaviors are starting to impact you, your area of work, and people around you, is when it's time for you to go and talk to somebody and say, "Hey, listen, I think this seems to be a struggle. Can you help me?" But we think therapy is perfect hona chahiye. Therapy is a journey, and sometimes different therapists show you a different mirror. But people are scared. What if this doesn't work? It's okay, but at least that therapist taught you something. He showed you a mirror. He showed you a mirror. Move on. Maybe see another one. So there isn't a fixed time कि कब professional help ले. But when you know that the struggle is too much and it's overflowing in other areas of your life, and people are sensing this, it's coming up in discussions, is when is a time that, well, I need to run this by. This needs to change. This is not me.
Okay. So I mean, it's the way that you actually look at it, and you're
Hmm?
saying there is no fixed time.
Yeah,
So you want it, you want it.
absolutely.
Good. So if every listener could
Hmm.
today
Hmm.
with one practice or one thought to
Mhm.
embrace vulnerability with courage, so what could it be?
Um, I would definitely say that, understanding that vulnerability isn't a moment you fall apart, but it is a moment you choose yourself instead of hiding. So instead of hiding behind vulnerability, you choose yourself and you show up and say, "Well, okay, this is it. I can't do it. Somebody needs help. Somebody needs to help me. Let's work this together." Is when true courage and true progress begins. Like I spoke about the courage method, understanding that none of these thoughts, feelings are a permanent place. So instead of reacting from that position, how about we just take a pause? We just pause and go back a couple of steps, physically get out of that situation, take a walk, think about what evidence do you have for these intrusive thoughts that are coming in, and what can you do to challenge it. There's a very, very interesting shairi in Hindi, and I love this one. It came up for me, and it says, दिल के दरवाजे जो खोले हमने, दिल के दरवाजे जो खोले हमने, तो ये एहसास हुआ, कमजोरी नहीं, इसमें तो सारा जहां आबाद हुआ. So it isn't the weakness. True success and progress starts from here, from being curious. So be curious, not self-punitive.
What different no words we are actually putting up, no, the psychology of, or maybe the dictionary of psychology that we are pulling in.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
that's good.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Can you summarize
Mm-hmm.
the daily practices that
Yeah.
help us become more emotionally aware and focused?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I would just repeat what I said, the courage technique or the pause practice where you just pause before reacting, understand your feelings, seek evidence for it, and give yourself some compassion and go back and see what you can do differently. I mean, Parajita, I've been working with so many people from different walks of life, whether psychiatrists, military personnel, healthcare professionals, doctors, frontline employees, banks. And there's one thing that people have taught me is that it's not the title, it's not the achievement, it's not the smile that people put up to show that they are okay. um it's a strength underlining that brings in the courage, the connection, the compassion, the resilience. And so when we work with people, we give them the permission to be human, that it's okay, it's fine, it's not good, it's not bad, it's not ugly, it's not terrible, it's fine. This is what you're feeling today, now, in that moment. Let's talk.
Beautiful. So, with that note, so pause,
Yes.
be beautiful, and also think before you react or
Mhm.
respond, and be curious.
Absolutely.
Thank
Absolutely.
you, Madhuri, for this wonderful, session of, I think, the dictionary of psychology that we brought in through vulnerability. So look forward to more topics from you, and thank you once again. Bye bye.
Thank you. I just want to say, Aparajita, learning through discussions has truly felt safe for me. Discussions are a way forward. So thank you for doing this for us. And thank you for telling the world that as thoughts, conversations, learning through discussions like these make us more humane in the world of AI. Let's not become robotic. So thank you for doing this and for having me.
Much, and bye bye.
Take care. Bye. Thanks.